Welcome, Mr. President, to the show of Kyiv Post. I know we have only 10 minutes, so let's get it started. You are here at the Tiger Conference. You made a very powerful speech, I would say. And now I want to talk to you about Ukraine's vision in 2020. You mentioned several reforms that needed to be done, of course, and it's understandable. But how do you actually see yourself and Ukraine in 2020?
Well, I have to say that I see Ukraine as a great European superpower. There is no reason whatsoever objectively for Ukraine to be as failing, as weak as it's now. Ukraine has amazing, huge potential. It has, first of all, it has historic circumstance that it has contained Russians on the fronts. You know, Austro-Hungarian Empire, when they contained Ottomans, they became very prominent drivers in Europe. And now Ukraine basically saved Europe from this big emerging Russian threat. At this stage, they are the ones who are at front line. Only for that, they should have a serious advantage in Europe. Plus, Ukraine has other very important assets. Biggest country in Europe, the very entrepreneurial and smart and educated population, huge agricultural potential. The industrial potential, which is still there. And I think the technologies and innovation and everything that makes nation great, and it's the only asset it's lacking is a good governance.
Do I hear you correct that we have everything we need to be the superpower for 2020?
Yes, I think Ukraine should become European superpower in 2020. But for that, we need to start growing double digit. For that, we need to not only to be fastest economy, but fastest reforming economy. This is all intertwined, and then it's going to work.
You mentioned political leadership that needs to be changed. Then, could you elaborate?
Well, we need new elections, rather. We need new politicians taking hold of the political power. They are around. They're out there, and we need to elevate people who are right now regarded as troublemakers to the status of decision makers, and then it's going to work a trick.
Do you think that we have enough of young people here in Ukraine who are skillful enough and knowledgeable enough and diplomatic enough and have enough of network to be a part of the system, the new system that you want to build?
Yes, I think we have that, and we have enough. These are the people who already had the experience. They have been in government for the last 2 years or so. They've had their success and failures. Their failures have hardened them, and their success have encouraged them. And they have a chance to come back and follow up on what they've achieved.
So if we have enough people and we have enough resources, then something is not working now. Because I don't see myself or my country being where you are mentioning us in 2020 yet.
If we don't start to, 2020, if you just take this very conditional timeline, either Ukraine will face existential problem with the statehood.
Yeah.
And if things continue as they are, the statehood of Ukraine will be under huge threat of disappearing, or it will be on the fast move. There is no status quo. Status quo is not sustainable. That's my personal point.
You have a huge international network and a lot of partners internationally. Do you feel that they still support you, although today they mentioned that you may sound more populistic, but do you feel that there's still support?
Look, I don't care what people might say. I should appeal to what people in Ukraine believe in. And I think people in Ukraine have been always making more or less rational choices. You cannot blame them for having bad government. There was no choice offered. We need to offer a choice. That's how it works.
Mr. President, today I've heard from a person who is a foreigner here and he runs a big company over here, that he hasn't seen that we as Ukrainians have really succeeded in creating a new European mindset. I want to ask you if you feel that the critical mass of Ukrainians has actually evolved into European way of thinking.
Well, I've heard this version that Ukraine is not really an Europe, it's kind of wannabe Europe, but I think it's as European as it can get. I mean, Ukrainians by nature are law-abiding people. They appreciate discipline, they appreciate the rule of law, they appreciate democracy, but they have their political class is just like Russian political class. They live in the same grand mansions. They are like living off the state enterprises of Russian gas as well. So that's one thing with political class. The other thing with what regular people think here.
Couple of extra questions. Until 2020, do you think that Ukraine can be in a position of getting into NATO, or at least closely related to that?
I don't think so.
You
And
don't
I
think
think
so?
that should not be the goal. The goal is not right now to fast integrate into NATO, because it doesn't seem realistic, especially with new presidents in Washington. But we need to go towards it. For sure, it should stay as our main goal. But we should, in the process, also use this instrument, use this goal for real reform. But NATO process is good and EU process is good because they bolster the reform, and we should do it more in that direction.
Well, then, European integration is one of the key messages that President Poroshenko was sending to the audience. Is that also one of your key messages as well?
Well, of course, I strongly believe in European integration, but it shouldn't be just paying lip service and imitating reforms. It should be a real thing. It should be essence. It should be the way of thinking. It should be way of acting of the new political class, not just imitating things so that we get just another trance from our Western friends.
Well, in the end, the question from me, where do you get the power to sustain all these people saying that you're a populist and you also do this?
No, very few people say that. Most of the people know that I'm in business.
But the basic question is, where do you have the power? Where is the power coming from?
Well, I've done things. I know how things can be done, and so whatever minority, it's easy to, and if you don't want to think and have lazy mind, to say label somebody as a populist. But like these lazy people, I've done real things. And I've delivered. And populists usually don't deliver. That's the whole difference.
Okay. In the end, top 3 things you're gonna do first when you get to the Rada.
Well, we have majority in the Rada. We will need to deregulate very fast. We need to crack down on corruption. We need to do very fast privatization and land reform, and that's what I see as principles, like first steps to open up Ukrainian economy and to give society momentum to move forward.
Do you think elections will happen in 2017?
Well, either we have elections or we have chaos. There is no status quo here.
I understand you. Thank you very much, Mr. President.